kind of like a yearbook they give you, you know?
Yeah.
There's just pictures in there. Like boot camps, like when you first get there and they give you clothes that don't fit, they buzz all your hair off. You feel like a schmuck. And there's, I just want to show you that.
What?
It's a picture of the boat.
Oh, damn.
And I think this was Oriskany. It was taken after replenishment from the USS J.H. Harper 1972 cruise to the West Pac. Western Pacific.
What? She was a modified, what do you call it?
It was an Essex class.
Essex class, yeah. Because of that angle, it almost looks like a Nimitz, but just smaller.
Listen, you can't laugh at this.
What? What?
That's me at Naval Air Crash Crew School.
Where are you in that?
Right down there in the bottom.
That you?
That's me.
Holy shit.
19.
Damn. Doesn't look like you anymore at all. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same as the year before.
Huh.
This was a picture. This kid he was an amateur photographer. I don't know what he was doing. I don't even know why I have this. He took a picture of an F-8 taken off. He superimposed like my picture on there for some reason.
I don't know, probably some like cool picture
Just
hang up back there.
dorking around.
Yeah.
Kinda. He did a lot of pictures like that.
Yeah, a lot of customers.
These are just some certificates I had.
I had one guy working with me
Yeah.
Firefighting school in Philly.
Oh no.
That's when I was in Lakehurst, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Lakehurst, New Jersey. That's. I know you know about the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
That's where it crashed and burned.
Yeah.
And that's where flight deck training school was in that hangar where they cut the Hindenburg. Okay, now you really can't laugh.
Oh, damn.
1969.
Look at you. Holy shit. Yeah.
And here's a couple little pictures. Here's the Oriskany. Let's see what this one says. 1971.
Is that an F8 or an A7? No, it's an F8. I can tell from the wing taking off.
Here's a guy, a friend of mine, was up on the island superstructure
Yeah.
taking pictures. That's me spotting an F8 on the port side cat or the starboard side cat.
What, in the yellow shirt?
Yeah.
Huh.
Here's
Looks better on my phone because of the lighting in the room, actually.
yeah, it lights it up. Yeah.
It's weird.
And here's the one too.
Nice.
Does the F8 have like, does its wing like pitch up or something?
Yep, pitches up.
Yeah, because it just looks really goofy.
A7 don't do that.
Yeah, the A7, yeah. The
Another
F8's
one. If you look, there's one just coming down on the back there, just hitting ready to hit the deck.
Yeah. What year would this have been?
This is 1971.
71.
Even if it was just a couple days a week that you were like, yeah, man, I'll work Monday, Tuesday,
Oh,
Wednesday.
shit.
But you gotta like tell someone.
Those are more F8s? That looks like an A7 from the back. Yeah, it's really hard to tell the difference between them.
Yeah. But that boot camp thing is kind of funny to look at now. Look at some of the guys. It's like when he's in there, you're sort of like high schoolish, you know?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff you laugh at, some of the stuff you're getting all the shots and
And the A4's on there. Skyhawks.
yeah.
C-130 just in the middle of the Arctic or something. So is this like something they just gave to you guys after you graduated?
Yearbook, yeah.
Yeah. History of the Great Lakes. That's cool.
You might want to see these too. It's Vietnam serviceman. Vietnam campaign now.
Oh, damn. That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did with my grandfather's stuff from World War II. I have no
I got
idea.
more. I mean, those are the Vietnam ones. I got the ones from Korea and There's like 4 other ones that they gave you.
Well, you were in Korea too?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were in Korea.
Yeah.
What the hell did you do in Korea?
That's when we just went to Okinawa
Oh.
a couple times to. But it wasn't during the war. It was afterwards. But they give you the Korean Service Medal.
Yeah. Missouri.
Yeah, that's some cool pictures there.
Yeah, it's Missouri.
Yeah. That was my company commander right there. He was a cool guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
So this is all.
These are guys that were ahead of my.
So these
boot camp.
These were all guys that were like.
He was probably the base commander. What does it say in there?
Brigade commander.
Brigade commander. Yeah, they were the high ups.
Regimental commander. Battalion commander.
Yeah.
RPO, CEPO. Is there a picture of the guy who was in that accident? The what do you call him? In the A7, the guy.
Oh,
the
no,
catapult
I don't
guy.
think so.
Not a picture of him.
No,
either.
because he wasn't at boot camp with us.
No.
The guys I was in with.
So he was already. Yeah, he was
This
already.
is
In
like when you first get there. Like this is you get there the night before. The first thing they do the next morning. That's where you
buzz your head. Yeah.
Hey, the guy, he says, he looks at me and he goes, the kid in front of me goes, how would you like it? The kid's, just take some off the sides. He goes, okay. Down the middle. And he starts laughing.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I bet they really fucked with you all the time.
Yeah, they bust you all the time. It's not bad. Once you get out of there, that's what the company commander said. This is the kid. He was our battalion, like our head guy. They pick one guy to lead the whole company.
Yeah.
And the kid went AWOL during boot camp.
Oh, really?
And then they came back here. He was from Niagara Falls.
Oh my
They came
god.
back here and they caught him and brought him back, put him in a brig for 30 days.
Jesus.
They had to start boot camp all over again.
Oh my god. Wow. Why? Because he just couldn't deal with it. Didn't want to go.
He had a girlfriend here that was pregnant.
Oh.
After like about 8 or 9 weeks, he couldn't hack it anymore. So they gave us like a weekend where we could go into Chicago and just see what was going on. And
Yeah.
he never came back.
Ay.
So they went and got him.
It's cool.
Do a lot of this, man. You do
A lot of cleaning.
Yeah.
You ever have to use a toothbrush?
Yep.
What are these rifles? I can't even tell.
M1s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, looks weird. Was that part of the fire training?
Yeah.
Having to put out fires. No gate. What is that? That firefighting?
Firefighting,
Just.
yeah.
Huh. Cool.
This is where they send you in the gas house.
I saw my cousin's boot camp video.
Yeah.
He came back right before he went off to Korea.
Yeah.
Back in like 20 whatever the hell. And in the video they did the gas chamber thing. That was really funny to watch.
Yeah.
Not funny for him at the time, but you know. More boot camp stuff.
Physical training. A lot of that too. A lot of that stuff.
The climbing stuff, yeah.
A lot of it.
They used to try and make us do this in school.
Yep.
I could never do that
First
shit.
thing we had was they had that cargo net. That thing's got to be like 35, 40 feet high.
Yeah.
You gotta climb up and go over the top and climb down the other side.
Swimming.
This was different too. That you would teach you how to take your clothes and make a like if you had thrown overboard.
Yeah.
You could take your shirt off, tie it, and you could go like this, slap it over the water, and it would fill with air.
Yeah.
So you could like hold on to it to help float.
More just arm stuff,
Yeah.
like discipline, basically.
Yep. That's all it is. 99% of it's just some stupid stuff like when you wash your clothes. I think there's a picture or someplace. I mean, you might have passed it where you tie your clothes out on a clothesline with little strings, and it has to be 2 fingers between each piece of clothes. It's
just dumb
and you say
little.
like, why we do it
Right here.
Why you do it? Because we told you to do it. That's why.
Jeez. Holy shit. Ay. A little band full of guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
A lot of cooking.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to go and work in the chow hall.
Those little potatoes or onions or something? Oh, onions.
Onions, potatoes, whatever.
Holy shit. I do well. I can use onions, potatoes to cook, and that's about it.
Was that the guys would spit in the potatoes and stuff like that?
And like you guys had like mass or whatever for everyone. Was that like mandatory
No,
like a certain time?
No.
Or it was like in
Just
off
go there
hours?
on, yeah, Sundays if you want, you could.
Recreation.
I mean, you basically had hours that you did everything every day, but then you had downtime too. You could watch TV and screw around.
Yeah.
Graduation there.
Just had to do marching.
Parents come and watch.
Yeah. What is that? Some American Spirit Honor Medal.
Yeah. Your final paycheck, and then they cut you your orders, tell you where you're going.
Oh boy. Huh. That's a nice little end picture.
That's a nice place. I mean, I don't know what it looks like now, but it really was a nice place.
Where was this?
The Great Lakes. It's just
Great
near
Lakes.
Chicago.
Yeah. That's cool.
But cold there,
1969.
man. Cold.
Yeah,
And they do
Illinois.
stupid stuff like you would have to stand guard at like the base commander's place. You know where it is? You'd stand from like 2 o'clock in the morning to like 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
You'd be standing on a sidewalk in front of his door like this, waiting for it to snow. If it snowed, then you had to shovel it.
Yeah.
It's like, and he said, why do we have to do this? Because we told you so. We told you to do it.
That's funny. So you said you had a scrapbook too?
Yeah, I gotta find it. I have a scrapbook. It's got pictures, a lot of flight deck pictures.
Yeah.
And I think it's someplace in the basement, or maybe in a safe or something. I gotta look at and find it. These are things I just had laying around. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I mean, it was a good experience, you know. Once that company commander, he told me, he says, once you get out of boot camp, he says, you're gonna see this is not the real Navy. This is just teaching you discipline. Once you're out of here, he says it's like a regular job, and it is because you pick your own career, what you want to do, whether you want to be in aviation or you want to be a yeoman or a cook or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And it's free. All you just put the time in.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. And then they offered me a chance. I could have stayed in. But they wanted me to sign up for 6 years. I didn't want to do that long. But if you do that, they call it shipping over. If you do that, you get to pick where you want to go. So I could have gone to like shore duty someplace in the States, or could have gone to Europe or something, but I just didn't want to do 6 more years.
Yeah. So like when you were in the Gulf of Tonkin, I assumed, is that like where you guys mostly operated from? Was just around there?
Yep.
Just had like certain.
Our home port was Subic Bay in the Philippines
Yeah.
when we were over there, and then we would go there and like resupply with bombs and food and all that stuff. And then we'd go out for like 60 days and just operate. You're probably like 60, 70 miles off the coast of Nam. And then the other place they would go in every couple days to get replenishment is to Da Nang for stuff for the jets and bombs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
So you were, what was the name of your position?
I was a flight deck director.
Flight deck.
Aircraft flight deck director. Yeah.
Yeah.
What they did was they split the flight deck up into three sections. The back section where the arresting gear was, that was called Fly 3. The middle was Fly 2, and then the catapult area was Fly 1. And I actually did all 3 of them. They could kind of move you around. I think there was probably maybe like 8 or 10 of us that were yellow shirts. And then I like spotting the cat the best. The worst part was being in the back, because you'd get all the, if you ever see the smoke coming out of the stacks, it's called stack gas. It's awful smell, and you would get it all the time. Because what they would do is they would turn the ship into the wind, pick up speed, so they had the right amount of wind over the deck to launch planes, and they would get all that exhaust from that stacks right down in where you were, you know. So it smelled.
So like, when you would you help like guide the planes in if you were working at the back?
No, they have a platform back there. It's called LSO, Landing Safety Officer.
Yeah.
Those are actual pilots that are back there doing
Yeah.
that, and they're talking to the guy.
Yeah.
You ever seen the lights back there where they line up? If you see a plane coming in, you see those lights.
Yeah, yeah.
And a thing in the center, they call it the meatball.
Mm-hmm.
And the object is to get the meatball right in the
Call the
center of
ball.
the target. Yeah, they call the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know World War II, they had the guy with the signs. I didn't know if they were still
When they had the
doing
flags,
it.
yeah.
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 That's pretty fun.
If you go on, and I think you could probably find it on YouTube. There's some videos of crashes.
Yeah.
One was on the Oriskany, and the guy was coming in. It was at night, and he's coming down like if this is the back, the fantail. He's coming down like this, coming down, and the guy, the LSO, starts going power, wave off, and he didn't get it, and he hit just like this.
Yeah.
And it broke that thing right in half. Big blast of
I think
flame.
I've seen it before actually too.
Yeah.
That's like a pretty
can hear 'em.
common one.
There's another one that I just saw a couple weeks ago. A kid. They were in, I think, someplace off Florida, some kind of a training carrier, and I don't remember the name of it. Intrepid, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I thought Intrepid was a museum.
Yeah,
though.
maybe it is. There was one that anyhow the kid coming in at the last second and he lost it, and it went like this, and he went over and he hit like on the backside of the island superstructure, and then it spun off and the whole thing was on fire.
Yeah.
And I think they said it was 2016. It wasn't that long ago.
Oh,
But yeah, well, I'll tell you what, if they hit, that's something to see. And the other thing is if you have to rig the barricade to catch one, like if the guy has like loss of flight controls, he might have taken some flack or something when he was over Nam, and he lost hydraulic fluid, so they rigged the barricade to catch him. That's something to watch too. All the guys were all trained to do it. You actually practice rigging that barricade, and then you stand that thing up. And it's big, I don't know, like nylon straps. Like
yeah, I think I've seen
in
a
bundles,
picture
and they
of
go
it.
all the way across, and it's something to see when he hits that thing.
It's supposed to like catch the entire.
It catches the whole plane.
Yeah.
Actually, the fuselage kind of goes through it, but it catches the wings and stops it. But so that I saw an A7 came in too hot and off the center line, and he caught the number 4 cable, which is the last one.
Yeah.
By the time it stopped him,
He was tipping over the
he
edge.
went over into the catapult.
Yeah.
Or into the catwalk, tipped up on its side like that. And he punched out as soon as it tipped over, and it was hung there. And the throttle was wide open. It was sitting on its side, wide open.
Yeah.
So they come over with the crash crew guys, and they park the big crane on the cable. Because you take the center part of the cable, you change it after so many.
Yeah, you have to
recoveries.
maintenance it. Yeah.
Right. So they parked this big crane thing on the cable, so that when they hit the pins and knocked it out, it wouldn't snap back and kill everybody.
Yeah.
When they did that, it let go, and then the plane went over the side, down like that.
Full throttle.
And he punched out, but because he was like on his side, his chute kind of opened, but didn't fully open. So he hit the water, and he skipped like this, and they went and picked him up with the helicopter. The guy went down, the diver put the thing around him to pick him up, and he fell out of it twice.
Yeah.
Then they realized his shoulders were dislocated.
Oh, really?
So the guy put him in his legs and held onto him like this, and they were like about 3/4 of a mile away. He carried him all the way back like this, hanging off the end of the cable back to the flight deck.
Was he alive or did?
Yeah, he was alive. They took him to sick bay, and then they flew him in, I think, to Da Nang or something, maybe back to Subic Bay to the hospital. But he eventually came back, but it was a heck of a ride. You know, watching him go like that water.
Do you think that the skipping in the water, like the
Probably
force of it, probably dislocated his
That's
shoulder?
probably what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
It's amazing if you see them. Like I saw one F8 photo bird. They had the ones at photo reconnaissance, and the guy hit and the nose gear collapsed, so he punched.
Yeah.
And while he was on the deck when he punched out, you'd be surprised how high he went in the air.
Yeah.
And how fast that canopy comes off. You know.
Yeah. So like when they recover somebody, what is like? Because you have a helicopter. What? Or no helicopter, dude?
Yeah, there's helicopter.
What
when you start a launch or recovery,
yeah,
the helo takes off first and just hovers off the side.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Uh-huh.
And then as soon as something like that happens, they throw the ship into an immediate the horn goes off.
Mm-hmm.
They throw the ship into immediate turn to go back.
Yeah.
To where as close as they get to them.
What
One
helicopter
time-
was it?
Huh?
What helicopter was it?
What they were called? They were little. They weren't big. You remember seeing the pictures of the helicopters that used to pick up the astronauts when they used to land in the ocean before they?
Like is it like the old goofy looking ones, or was it?
It was big.
Or was it like the?
H1 maybe, I don't know what it was called.
Because I know there's the it's like the H-34, which are like the ones they had in Korea or something. Those like really bus looking ones.
Yeah, that's what
Is,
these were.
is that what it was?
Yep.
It was the, yeah.
They were big. Actually, I flew off on one of those one time.
Mm-hmm.
The ship was going into Japan for some. We lost a prop, a screw, so we couldn't make enough speed to get the proper wind over the deck. So we had to go into Japan and go into dry dock. So we knew we were going to be there for 2 weeks. So me and a buddy, we decided we were going to come back to the States, take 10 days while the ship was in Japan. So we got permission from the air boss to fly off on the helicopter, and we got in there in the Yokosuka actually before the ship did, and then we took a bus or train up to Tokyo, and we flew out of Tokyo on near Japan, came back to the States for 10 days.
Yeah.
But then when we had to fly back, we had to leave early because you're a day ahead of time over there, so we didn't want to be late.
Yeah. That's pretty funny how people would always try to sneak away.
Yeah.
Whenever they could.
You had to see the coolest pictures of what you had to see that thing when it was in dry dock. You wouldn't believe how much that ship is underwater. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
You'd leave it.
We went in dry dock in Japan.
Yeah.
And it takes quite a while for all the water to drain out of there. And then all the Japanese shipyard workers, they're running around down the bottom with their plastic bags picking up that fish.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
But it's big. I mean, it takes a while for it to settle down in there, but they're like big cradles. It just sets right down in.
Yeah. Because it locks in almost like kind of like a canal type thing, and then it just drains.
And they drain it.
Yeah.
But when you come off, once it's drained and you come off and you look down in when you're coming off the ship, you look down in there, it's like, holy crap, there's a lot of boat there. And the size of those screws is amazing how big they are. They lower them down in there with a crane. So they had to take it broke right off at the strut. So they had to take the whole shaft and everything out, replace that, new prop on it. But we actually found out that we lost it because they couldn't build the speed. So they stopped the ship completely dead in the water, and they sent the underwater dive team down to go down and see what was going on. And that's when they come up, and all the guys cheered because we knew we were going to go into port then instead of.
Oh,
that was
man.
funny.
Yeah. So, like, I guess tell me a little bit about like flight deck operation, like with a catapult and stuff.
Yeah, well, what they did was the first thing you do in the morning is you go up there and you respot the aircraft for the launch. They have certain planes that are designed to go on the first launch. And there's usually about maybe like 30 planes that go. Combination, fighters, bombers, photo reconnaissance, tankers. So then they go. And then you have about maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So during that time, while they're gone, you bring up more planes from the flight or from the hangar deck, do the same thing, reposition them for the second launch. Once the second launch goes, the first launch is coming back, so you recover them. So that's the process all day long. I think there was a total of eight cycles to a day. And then once the last one is captured at night, then it goes into a maintenance time. And they'll leave like one flight deck director in flight deck control. And what you're there for is if they want to move a plane to position it so they can do an engine run up or something, you have to okay it. And then you have a big board in flight deck control with the little plastic airplanes with the numbers on it, and you move them all around as to exactly where they're at.
That seemed kind of cool. That little
So
model
you know exactly where they're at. You
yeah.
know? That's pretty much what it was. You got the yellow shirts were flight deck directors, the green shirts were your catapult guys, purple shirts were fuelers, red shirts were ordnance, brown shirts were your plane captains that belonged to the squadron, and they were like in charge of that plane to make sure it was, when any maintenance things had to get done on it, make sure it was loaded properly with fuel, and they stayed, like you would be assigned to that plane, that's your plane, you stay with that plane all day, whether it's in the hangar deck, on the flight deck, whatever, all day, that was your job.
Isn't there like I think there's like a gray shirt now or something? There's like I think there's a new one now, but I don't know what it's.
They had,
it's like,
there was two different colored blue shirts. Blue shirts guys were the guys that drove the little tractors and pushed the planes around, and the other blue shirt guys were, they just went around and like put the chocks in and tied the planes down with the chains, stuff like that.
Was it like two different colors of blue?
Yeah, it was like a light blue and a dark blue.
Oh, okay.
When you first come on board on deck for your first time, like you come up as like a blue shirt, say, and you have to shadow an experienced guy. I mean, you got to stay right with them.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, the first time you go up there and all those engines are running and props are running,
it's or information overload.
Really easy to get like sucked into an intake or blown off the side. You got to really pay attention what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
And then you have your red shirts are your crash crew. They actually have the easiest job. They just kind of sit around all day in the fire truck and just in case. You know?
Yeah. They probably did drills though a lot.
Oh
probably.
yeah, they do a lot of drills.
To make up.
Yeah.
No one sits around and does nothing. You know.
But that was like, you had to be like one of the senior guys to get in the crash crew.
Yeah. It was one of those jobs.
Yeah. They're just in case.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then they have a initiation when you first come aboard, and you never know what it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And when, like with me, they said, "Hey, Dennis, you got some mail. It's in the crash crew locker room."
Oh God.
I didn't know. You know, I was 19, so okay. So I go in there, right? You walk in there and they go, "You got some mail here for me?" "Yeah, come on in." So I go in there.
Oh God.
And then they're all sitting there looking at you. Then all of a sudden you realize something's going to happen, right? So they grab you. They totally strip you down.
Yeah.
And they cover you from here to your ankles in grease off their resting gear cables. And then you got to go get it off. So you go down to you can't take a shower. Water ain't going to wash it off. So you got to go down and literally scrape it off first. And then you take your shower.
Oh my God. So that was all
Everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Something, anything.
It's an initiation into like, now you're part of the team, you know, but it's like, everybody gets it.
That's crazy. Cause
and,
like,
you know, after it happens, and then like, you see a new guy come aboard.
Yeah.
And then you say, "Oh, hey, you got some mail over there," and you're like, you know what's gonna happen.
Oh man. Because I was watching like something about it was about a modern submarine crew.
Yeah.
And their initiation is like you work in like the lunchroom or like the mess hall, or whatever you want to call it on a sub.
Yeah.
And like that's your you got to work 2 weeks there, and then you go and you like shadow and then train your other job, and then with like your guys' era, like my grandfather, they made him like clean some dumb thing in the boiler room with a toothbrush, like this
Scrub the boiler plates.
Yeah, because that was mostly where it worked, but.
Everybody goes mess cooking on a carrier. Everybody gets sent to mess cooking.
Yeah.
Everybody, doesn't matter when you have to do it. And mine was I worked in the bakery, and that was cool. But the worst job was the guys that worked in where they wash the trays that you eat on.
Yeah.
That was terrible back there. And it was just hot steam all the time. You're sweating, you know. And guys would be like, you know, they come up to the window instead of just setting their tray here, they wing it in, you know.
Yeah.
They throw it at you. It's like, thank God I didn't get that part.
Yeah, that was probably.
Food was okay on board. I thought.
What did you guys eat?
You have a pretty good selection of food, honestly. Just pretty much what you would have at home. The only thing is, after a certain time of being out at sea, you run out of fresh milk, and they go to that powdered milk.
Yeah.
It's awful. If it's ice cold, it's not too bad. But if it's just medium cold, it's terrible.
I think like wouldn't you guys have special occasions like or like wasn't ice cream or something
Well, they had desserts and that almost every day, but yeah.
like for like holidays or something? Like I think
No.
maybe.
I mean, they had like Thanksgiving meals.
Yeah.
Special stuff like that. But working in the bakery was cool. Except you got to watch it, man. You can really get fat in 2 weeks. Sampling all the stuff,
Yeah.
you know, donuts and cookies and sweet rolls. And...
Did you guys have like a place to work out on the ship at all or anything?
Yeah, there's like a small gym that you can work in. It even had its own TV station. You didn't get like live programming, but they would get like movies that would be flown in on some of the cargo flights and that. Movies, regular programming. There was a channel you could go on every day and watch the videos of the missions that the pilots did. It showed the bombing rates and stuff.
Yeah, they have like gun
cool.
cameras or something.
That
That's
was
cool.
cool.
That would be probably the coolest thing to do.
Yep.
Watch what they got to do.
You know, and then you went into port in a lot of different places. I was in Okinawa. I was in Singapore, Philippines, Japan, Hawaii. Took some R&R. Went to Australia, Hong Kong. Went there, but in Hong Kong you had to anchor out 1 mile because we had nuclear weapons on board, so you couldn't tie up at the dock.
Yeah.
And then they had the little Mama and Papa San junks came out that they live on those things.
Yeah.
And they used them to make money, and they shuttle you back and forth to the. So you get on this thing, and you're in your uniform, and you're looking, and here's Mama San down there cooking and washing clothes, and you're on this thing. Oh my God, this is how these people live.
Yeah.
But
so like I know that with my grandpa, he told me about how they had forget her name, but they had like that Japanese propaganda lady back in World War II. Vietnam had something similar
they had
too.
the Hanoi Hilton.
Yeah.
And Hanoi Hannah.
Yeah.
She was the welcome American sailors, welcome American GI.
Go home, GI.
Yeah. Yeah.
So would you like tune in
hear it
to
on
the
the
radio?
radio. Yeah, you can hear it on the radio.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't that propaganda or something that like actually wasn't?
Yeah, they're just saying, you know, like your government is wrong, and they tell you a lot of lies, and you know, blah blah blah. You're hurting innocent people,
even though half of you didn't have a choice because of the draft.
God will punish you, and you know, for your crimes.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting time. Really, I don't regret doing it at all, honestly.
That's how you have such good marshalling skills now.
I've been doing it 50 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, marshalling the cat was the coolest part, I think. And the pilots were really cool. They were all cool. You know, I mean, some were real serious guys. Some were kind of fun guys. You could joke around with them. They were all pretty good guys.
Yeah.
The cat spotting was good. The only one that was good was if you worked in Fly 2, the middle one.
Yeah.
When the guy would hit the cables, you would run right out there and go like this to him to release his brakes. And then the plane would kind of roll back a little bit. And then you'd give him
to release the tension on
tail hook up.
Yeah.
And then once the tail hook goes up, you start marshalling forward, and he'd go like this to tell him to fold his wings. He had to have his wings folded before he could go up to the bow. That was cool.
What aircraft did you guys have on at the time? You had F-8s, A-7s?
When I first got on board, we had A-1 Corsairs. Those were props.
Or the Sky Raiders?
You ever see that old show, Black Sheep Squadron, that was on?
No.
That was years ago. But anyhow, they had those. They had the A4 Skyhawks. They had the A3, that we call it the Whale. That was the tanker. Then we went to F-8s, A-7s. And then the last time I was there, we didn't have
you never had Phantoms?
No, we had A6. Those were weird planes. Those planes almost looked like they were stopping before they hit the deck.
Yeah, because they can fly real slow.
Yep.
But you never had Phantoms.
No.
we've had flybys with Phantoms from like, because there was always a couple carriers out there at the same time.
Yeah.
On what they called Yankee Station.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always like 2 or 3 carriers, but like Be Us, the America, maybe the Ranger, Coral Sea was out there, Kitty Hawk was out there.
My friend's
The America.
grandfather was on Independence.
Independence, yeah.
Yeah.
Constellation. Midway is the one that had the big, they took that into sometime stateside, and it was an Essex class carrier, and then they made a super deck on it.
They turned it into.
Yeah, and they had a big crash and a fire on there.
Yeah.
A guy hit right side landing gear collapsed. He spit the cable off,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing went right up into the bow where all the planes were parked. And we were there when it happened because we were like maybe, I don't know, a quarter mile or less off the side of it. We could see the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard maybe like another year or 2 after that they had problems with that deck, that they made it so big that it was cracking or whatever. It wasn't.
Yeah, like Midway had,
Something was wrong
it
with
wasn't meant to be
Yeah.
made that way. It
Yeah.
had like a lot of issues
Yeah.
with, I think like it was something about the deck couldn't take the constant impact of planes landing
Yeah.
towards the backside, and it like
I mean,
started
it
to
looked
crack
odd.
through it.
It looked like it was like the super carrier deck on this Essex class carrier. It's like, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Hancock was over there too. I think that was CVA 19. We were 34. America was 66. Yeah, there was quite a few. Enterprise, of course,
Mhm.
that was the big one at the time.
Yeah. Was that Enterprise was retrofitted, I assume?
Yep.
From World War II.
And then they did build another one. It was CVA 65, I think it was. But even that, compared to these things they got now, things are huge. I think ours was like 1,100 feet, I think, long. I don't know what these new ones are, but they're gigantic. Well, the Enterprise actually had catapults on the angle deck too, besides just on the straight deck,
Yeah.
so they could launch either way.
Mm-hmm. The one in the game I was showing you with the A7, they put Forrestal in there.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it has 4 catapults, and the 4th one doesn't have a blast shield or whatever.
Yeah.
The deflector.
Blast deflector.
Because it's like literally right at the back end.
Yeah.
And it's like, because they're like next to each other. So like I don't know how 3 and 4 would have been able to even launch, like have 2 planes on them at the same time.
Probably had to shoot them one at a time.
Yeah.
Then we had the C1A, and then let's see, that was just like that was the plane that brought the mail and cargo.
Yeah.
The C2A was the
Greyhound.
one, yeah,
The AWACS one.
yeah. And then there was also like a C1 that had a radome on the top too. They call it the FUD. But we, once in a while, after a regular recovery cycle, we would have to deck launch one of those.
Yeah.
So you would take it all the way back to the fantail, turn it around, as close as you could get it, turn it around, give him the whole brake sign, give him this, and he would go full
Wind up,
speed,
yeah.
wind up, and then he'd go off the angle deck at 9 times out of 10. As soon as he went off the deck, he went
It
like this.
dropped.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
it's like,
How much
I
of a
actually got
headwind?
shot off I actually got shot off on the regular deck
Yeah.
on a C1A going into Da Nang one time. But
How much of a headwind did you guys need in order to?
I don't know. I'm going to say it was probably like maybe 30 knots.
Mm,
It was pretty windy.
yeah. In order to give.
And
that-
the only other weird things that I experienced there was going through a typhoon.
Mm,
Because if you knew that was going to happen, they'd fly as much as they could stuff into like Da Nang or back to Subic Bay, and the rest of the stuff went down in the hangar deck.
because they couldn't fit everything.
No.
In the.
So then nothing would be on the top deck,
Mm,
and it was 80 feet from the top deck to the water, and we were breaking waves over the bow
yeah.
on the flight deck. So I mean, you could feel it in a carrier, and if you turned around, watch the carrier always had a couple of destroyer escorts with us.
Yeah.
And you turn around, watch some guys back there. They're going like this, and the thing go down and would
That's like a.
disappear all the way to the bridge. It's like, oh my god, thank God I'm not on that. You know.
Do you know what destroyers you had? Like
Oh
what?
my God, there was
I don't
millions
even
of
know.
them. Yeah. But the other, I think the most coolest thing we saw was every year when we were near Japan, that was our closest point to Russia,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to go on what they call a red bear alert.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this, and you'll see it today. Still, they fly them.
The T-95s.
The swept back wing with the turboprops on it.
Because they can carry, like, I think it's like 6 anti-ship missiles at a time, which
and
are
red
more
bear,
than
they
enough.
call it red bear. And every year, every time we were near Japan, we'd go into this red bear alert. Pilots would be in the cockpit, sitting on a catapults, waiting to launch.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw it. The last year we were there, I finally got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just flew down along the side of the ship. It was huge. It was a big plane.
Yeah, the thing's fucking big.
Yeah, I mean, look at a
Loud.
B-52. Yeah. And he flew down along. He circled around. He made like 3-4 passes like that, right? So later in the day, remember I told you could see the video from the pilots are up there?
Yeah.
The pilot's behind him in an F-8, and the guy that's in the back of this Red Bear plane,
There's
he's
a
waving
gunner.
to him and saluting to him.
Yeah, because they still had a gunner
Giving
on
him a
those
thumbs
things.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. They still do that now all the time over Alaska.
Yeah.
They're constantly, like, people were talking
Yeah.
about like in like the Middle East or something, like I think it was like a F-15 or something from like Israel or something flew by a Russian Su-27 or whatever. And everyone's like, oh shit, we're gonna go to war, and it's like they're literally flying B-52s and Tu-95s and shit back and forth.
I was
over
just
Alaska
glad I
every
got to
day.
see it because that was my 4th cruise, and every time I can't tell you how many times we would be up there on alert, you know, and never saw it. It's like I finally got to see this thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and even at night, the pilots would be all night long. They'd be in the cockpit, ready to go on the cat.
Mm-hmm.
All they had to do was close the canopy, and
Same guys, or they like swap
they
out?
swap out.
Yeah.
But then when that happened, we were also in a only red lights,
Mm-hmm.
and the ship was like dark, just red lights only.
To try and kind of minimize
Yep.
the positioning of the.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was a good time. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it. You know, I learned a lot. I ended up actually. It helped me get a job at the airlines coming out. You know, so I couldn't. And I was over there. The airlines 35 years. That was all because of the training I got in the Navy net. So I applied. I was still in the Navy. I think it was like, I don't know, I might have had 2-3 months to go when I applied at all the airlines.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't hear nothing. I actually got an interview at Air California that I could have worked out there, but I decided to come back here. And I didn't hear nothing, and I started working at Chevy. I was there about 6 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when they called me over here.
You started with U.S. Air.
No, it was Allegheny, and there was 3 airlines: Allegheny, Mohawk, and Lake Central.
Mm-hmm.
I started with Allegheny, and then about a month after I started, those 3 airlines merged together and made U.S. Air.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, honestly, I think a lot of these kids nowadays that don't have any kind of path to go on for what they want to do in that, I think the military is a good way to do it.
Mm.
You know, I enlisted. I mean, I got drafted, but I enlisted, so I thought, you know, I'm going to pick and choose what I want to do. You know, I don't want to just get sent over to the jungle and shoot at people. I want to make something out of it. So I could have done that. You know, I could have. If I drafted, I would have been in just 2 years, but I did 4, and then I did 2 years reserve.
It's probably better you did that than
Yeah,
go to the
think
jungle.
so.
You said the one guy in boot camp, whatever, wanted to be a door gunner.
Yeah, it's like, I'll show you this picture out of that book. He was the littlest, wimpiest guy. It's like, what? He wanted to be a machine gunner. That's what he wanted to be, a machine gunner. And he ended up being a door gunner. Couldn't believe it. I thought he would be like a guy that would be like a cook or a yeoman or, you know, a signal guy.
You want to go be the guy getting shot at by every single
it's
VC in the jungle.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah, that's a death wish.
Yeah. He made it out. He did good, you know, but it's like,
At the time, you're probably thinking, what the fuck is wrong with
what
you?
is wrong with you? You know? Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what squadron he was in, but he was in some helicopter squadron or something. Jeez, no thanks. Yep. Well, I mean, there's so many different categories of what you can do, you know.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
They actually allowed you to choose
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, they give you when you come out of boot camp, they give you what they call a dream sheet. It says fill out the dream sheet. So
Mhm.
there's all the different things that you think you would like to do, and then whatever they decide you're going to do, and pretty much they give you what you want, you know, and then they send you to the proper training facility for that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, most Airedales either went to, like I did, to New Jersey, or someone went to Pensacola,
Yeah.
Naval Air Station in Pensacola. Yeah. But I was there for training. I think I got there in like April, March or April. And then I was there like 4.5 months. Came out of there. But that training facility, that hangar was inside that hangar where the Hindenburg crashed. Is a 3/4 size, I don't know what now, but 3/4 size scale flight deck. And you would actually
practice
on that.
That's cool.
Then outside, they had a mock flight deck outside, and that's where you would learn to do aircraft directing.
Would they have like an actual aircraft?
Yeah,
running
they had
around?
instructors taxi the planes around. You know?
That's cool.
Yeah. Yep. And then they do the firefighting thing. That firefighting thing was pretty neat. It really was. I enjoyed the heck out of that.
It's probably hot, and you got to cool off.
Well, they have these pads. They're like probably this deep in fuel.
Yeah.
They have an old junk plane sitting in it, and they got a dummy in the cockpit. So they tell you what you're going to do. They train you how to do it. So you got an instructor drives a truck. We never drove the truck. But then you'd have the guy up in the turret, and his job was to knock down a path to the cockpit, because they'd light it and it'd be all flames. He'd knock down a path to the cockpit. He'd hit the driver would hit the horn. The two guys in the back that had the suits on, we'd jump out, grab the ladder, run up through the fire, throw it on the side of the plane. Guy would climb up, grab the dummy, throw it over your shoulder, and come back down, right? So then they taught us about what would happen if you were making a rescue and then the fire like relighted behind you. So he did that to us one day, because they teach you to, the guys that are on the hose, to hang onto the hose so that you stay together in case they have to pull you out. So we were in there making a rescue, and he relit the fire behind us. We turned around, we couldn't even see. We were just totally in flames, you know. And then they knocked it down so we could get out. But
were you still holding on to the hose?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, whoa. You know? You with those suits on, you could feel it, the heat, you know. But yeah, they had little nozzles all around that pad, and it would spray jet fuel on there, and then he'd go over there and just light it off, you know. And it was hot. Yeah,
So,
Lakehurst, New Jersey.
When you were in Vietnam, I actually think it was before you went in. I think it was 1965, maybe. There was a broken arrow incident. I don't remember what year it was.
It had to be before me.
Was there like anything, not with a nuclear weapon maybe, but like, was there anything like seriously wrong that happened other than like crashes and mishaps? Like, like mishandling of ordnance?
Yeah, there was. Not on us. Well, yes, there was one on Oriskany. There was 2 fires. One was on the Forrestal. That was an aircraft accident. The one on the Oriskany was a kid in the hangar deck had a flare go off, and instead of throwing it overboard, he opened a door to a sealed compartment and threw it in there. Unfortunately, it was an ordnance locker, and it was right below the officers' compartments where they sleep and stuff. And I think 3 or 4 of them got killed, died in the fire.
That's like the dumbest thing.
He just panicked. He just panicked. It's like he just
the worst one to throw it into.
He threw it in, not even thinking. I guess maybe he didn't even know what he was throwing it into, and he threw it in there. But it was right below the officers' quarters. I think a couple of them. I don't remember how many. I think a couple of them died in that. That was before I got there, but I remember hearing about it. The only other weird one we had was where I told you they had the plane captain that's assigned to take care of each plane.
Yeah.
He forgot to pin the seat for the ejection rockets on the back of the seat, those Ray Pack rockets. He forgot to pin it, and he was in the plane doing something, and somehow he managed to hit the handle and ejected himself right into the bottom side of the flight.
I think they have to like test it or something, but he probably didn't have it.
But he went right into the bottom side of the flight deck.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember one of the guys saying, "You don't want to see it." 'Cause it had to be really
fucking nasty.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I mean, from where he was in the seat to where he hit the ceiling was probably only like 30 feet. That thing shoots up like 200 feet.
Yeah.
You know?
Full force.
Yeah. That had the captain's steward, little Filipino guy, walk behind an F8 that was doing a low engine run in the hangar deck. He walked right behind it and blew him over the side.
Yeah, that's. You probably can't even tell at the time because it's just all you hear is jet engine.
Somebody saw it and they hit the alarm and then they got him back.
Yeah.
They picked him up. They launched the helo and got him. And then we did have one kid who was in the brig, and the Marines would bring you up on the flight deck when we weren't doing flight operations for exercise. Let you run a little bit, jogging it, and this kid decided he had enough of being in a brig and he jumped over the side. And we never got him.
Never got him.
No. Never got him.
What would you even go into the brig for? For just clearly disobeying orders, probably?
Disobeying orders, going AWOL while you're in port.
Oh, yeah, that for sure, yeah.
That's mostly what it was.
Really major stuff, not really.
Stuff, yeah.
Not really minor reprimands or nothing. Damn. And then the one you told me with the catapult, that guy was the...
He was a CAG commander.
CAG. CAG?
He was the senior officer of all the air group. And he was in an A7, and there was either a malfunction with the cat. Somehow the shuttle, the bridle hooks to, went too hard, and it come unhooked from the bridle and chopped the nose gear off as he was going down the cat. And it went like this. So when he went off the end, he was nose down. And he punched out. He actually punched out as soon as it went off the end. He went straight forward. And we never got him. I saw the plane. We saw the plane go right by the side of the ship. It was very close. It was actually under the aircraft elevator when I saw it. We never got him. So I'm assuming he probably got sucked under.
Sucked under,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of accidents that happened in Vietnam with
I'll tell you what, I think carrier duty, flight deck duty is probably one of the most dangerous things you could do.
Yeah, because even nowadays,
it's exciting. It's
Yeah.
never a dull moment. It's great, you know. Even in the downtime, it's fun because you park all the planes in a certain area. We played softball up there and football.
Mhm.
It was
yeah,
100 degrees out, but it was, it was great. Just don't go for a long pass too
yeah.
far.
I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, like, it wouldn't be as good now. Like, there's still a couple of things. Like, I remember one time years ago, a guy got sucked into an F-18.
Yep.
You know, just because it's just. I mean, even here at the airport, sometimes when everything's running, like the APUs.
Yep.
APUs sound exactly like a jet engine. So anytime I hear, even if it is just the APU, I'm
Yep.
kind of like, I don't want to go near an engine. I just don't.
I saw a kid get sucked into an F-8.
Yeah.
Guy was parked along the side. I think he was a standby plane for that launch. He wasn't going to go, but he had to be started anyhow just in case. And a fueler kid, a new kid, come up out of the catapult or out of the catwalk, walked right in front of him, and he went right in. I mean, he went in like that, and you heard that thud, and the guy shut it down right away. They pulled him out of there, and they got to about where his waist would be. He had no clothes left. Sucked the clothes right off him, and it was just blood. And they took him down to sick bay. He was down there quite a while, a couple hours. Brought him back up, and he was wrapped up like a mummy. And they put him on that C-1A and deck launched
Shipped him out.
I think he went back to the Philippines. I never heard after that what happened to him, but
Was he, like, seriously, like, critically injured, or was he dead?
He had well, I don't know. He was alive, but it's like, oh my God. I mean, if he come off that deck, and the guy was just like idle.
Yeah.
He wasn't spooling up, you know. It picked him up like a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You see it out here. You see the
vapor.
Yep.
I have a video on my phone, I think, still of when I was spraying a plane, and it was like the vortex right in front of the engine was like water, like just spinning around like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool, but I'm not going over it.
Yeah.
I'm staying in the truck.
Yeah.
So
That was amazing. I'll never forget seeing that, how fast that kid went in there.
yeah,
I was like, whoa. At first, when you see it, it's like puts you like in shock because you don't want to think you saw what you just saw.
mm-hmm.
You know. Whoa.
But like, yeah, if it wasn't for you guys, shit would still be happening a lot nowadays. I mean, maybe it's just like history.
Yeah.
But it all happens, over a period of time. Like, I know the Forrestal fire was like really famous, stuff like that. But yeah, that's a.
Forrestal was I'm telling you, I must have seen that video when I was in different training classes and that, like shipboard firefighting, aircraft firefighting. I must have seen that Forrestal fire picture or video 100 times.
Yeah.
You know.
Really nail it in you.
CVA 59. Yep.
Jeez.
That was a hell of a fire, though. I mean, they were pushing airplanes off the side of the ship just to get them out of there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting.
The whale was cool. To watch the whale land, it was big. It was a big A3, big airplane.
Yeah.
Huge airplane.
Is it called the Skyward? Is that what I'm thinking of?
I think it is, yeah.
It's got like swept. Isn't it a bomber?
It looks like it, but it's just a big tanker. It's a tanker. But when he comes in, they say clear the deck. A lot of times during regular recovery, guys are standing all over. You have to stay on this side of the foul line. So in case the guy hits and misses, he goes full throttle and takes off again. So you have to be on this side of the foul. When the whale's coming in, they clear the deck completely except for the flight director that's going to be out there to, unhook him. And as soon as he hits, I mean, that thing hits and it bounces up in the air like this. It leaps and the cable's still on it and then it stops. And then you run right out there with a tow bar and a tractor. You hook it onto it, fold the wings up, and then you have to push them back to a certain area just to get them clear of the foul line so that they can continue to recover an aircraft.
Does the A3 have the landing gear configuration where it's like two small ones on the wings and then like two in the... It doesn't? Okay. I thought it had something similar to like the Harrier, but...
No. It's a big airplane.
Yeah. I've never really seen too many images of the A3, so...
Then they had one that would come in and would bring the head admiral for Western Pacific. He would come in, he had a special one that was pretty nice. It was more like a passenger plane. It was cool. Yeah, it's a fast-paced thing up there when you're on the deck, but it's interesting. I started out as the blue shirt, because you got to start at the bottom. From the blue shirt, I went to be a tractor driver, pushing planes around. Then I became the tractor king. I was in charge of all the guys that were pushing the tractors, planes around. And then I went to flight deck director after that. So that was my third cruise. About halfway through the third cruise, that's when they asked me to be a flight deck director. Okay. I liked it. Nice. And it amazes me, I watch these videos now, these new carriers, the headsets and the garb, it's exactly the same. It hasn't changed in all those years. They wear it's like a skull cap, but it's got like a plastic cap on it, so if you whack your head underneath the wing of a plane, you're not going to cut your head open. The radio pieces that were here were heavy. I mean, they were really heavy. Same with the microphone. Still wear the life vest. It's a little life vest. It's got a little CO2 cartridge. If you get blown over the side, you pull it, it inflates. It's got a little, like a flashing beeper on it, so you know where you're at. Everybody wears those. The only thing that was hot, it was really hot over there. I mean, hot. Well, you can figure it's gonna be like 95, 100 degrees, and then you got all those engines running.
Yeah.
It's brutal hot. Heat rash. You talk about heat rash.
Yeah.
You see guys down there with powder every day. It's just like heat rash is terrible over there. You can't help it. You're dressed with like not asbestos. What do they call it? The Nomex shirts in case of a fire, so they don't breathe real well. And you got the cargo pants, like the military cargo pants on, and you got the vest over the top of that with the rubber bladder inside. And then you got that skull cap thing on, so it was hot. It was goggles. Yeah,
oh man,
sweat, man.
That's awesome.
So to wash your clothes, if you run, if you're going to be out for a long time and you would run out of clean clothes, you'd tie your clothes onto a long rope, like 5-6 pieces of clothes, and throw them over the side. You drag them off the catwalk in the salt water, and that would clean them. When you bring them back in, you go in the shower and you run the fresh water to get the salt out.
Yeah.
That's where they say you're salty. That's where it comes from. Yeah.
Oh
You're a
man.
salty sailor.
Well, I'm glad you served tennis because it was cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, honestly,
Thank God you're still here.
I would encourage any kid that in this day and age, that, especially now, it's a good time to do it. You know, you're not going to get sent to Afghanistan or anything. Go in the Navy and even Air Force, I guess.
Mm.
If you don't have any kind of career in mind, what you want to do.
Mm.
Like I said, it's a free education. You might come out of there and get a really good job, you know, or you might stay in. I think, honestly, thinking back on it now, because I worked with a guy at US Air who was Air Force, and he went in, he did 4 active, 2 reserve, and then he re-upped, and he stayed in all reserve time, and he got a great pension.
Mm.
And all he did was once in a while go to the Falls Air Force Base for a little duty on a weekend or something. That was it. And he got a full pension out of it.
Damn.
So he's got his pension from the airline and his pension from the military.
Mm.
So he calls me once in a while. He's doing good.
Well, thanks, Tennis. This is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Sure.
If you ever find that
I
scrapbook,
got to dig through that stuff. It's got to be in one of those safes down there or something. But I'll bring it in for sure. These were just stuff I had laying around.
yeah.
Last time I saw that boot camp one, it's like, I got to show them this.